Hi, guys. I'm Dr. Liz Jenkins with drlizcoaching.com and welcome. Welcome. Um, we've been working on designing your relationship and really that it starts with us personally. And so last assignment was starting to do some inventory and deciding what you needed in your life, what was lacking or what was still hanging up. And a huge theme that I'm hearing from my folks that is that they're still hanging on to something that hurt them. And for some of you guys, it's something that's in this relationship. Maybe there's been a betrayal. Maybe there's been an affair. One of those huge regrettable event fights. For others, it's coming from outside the relationship, maybe from growing up as kids or other relationships or something that our parents did or didn't do. And it's really just like messing with you now. It's interfering with your ability to show up as we want to and then also show up in the relationship. Also, maybe your spouse or partner is also hanging on to something that they could get rid of. And so that's why I'm talking to folks about forgiving and forgetting. And some folks are like, what? No way. Okay. No, I've been violated, I've been hurt, and I need to hang on to that. And maybe it's going to feel ridiculous that I'm even going to suggest that because when we got hurt or let down or violated or whatever, there was a reason why we circled the wagons and we built up the wall and protected us because we wanted to make sure that we didn't ever let our guard down and ever feel that anger, that sadness, that rage of feeling duped or surprised or let down. So I get it. So I'm just suggesting hang on to that hurt, hang on to that moment of you being let down. But I want to share with you why it might be a good reason, why it might be important to start moving to that forgiveness of someone and the event that hurt you. When you are still in that state of hanging on, your emotions remain unresolved and you carry anger, bitterness, sadness, and it gets mixed in the muck inside of us. It mixes in with our thoughts and our reactions. So we have part of our brain showing up, but we also have these emotions that have us maybe misinterpreting a situation or coming with that chip on our shoulder. And so something little future forward becomes this big, mountain out of a molehill type of thing. And so maybe someone, your sweetheart, ever, maybe there was this huge big fight and it hurt your feelings, you shut down, you keep yourself boarded up. And so you are moving through this marriage or through this relationship and you're not allowing yourself, one, to accept their apologies or forgive, and we'll talk about that, to let go of some of that. And so you're losing the ability to repair and build current and future happiness. And also, maybe it's from the past. And so you're not even letting yourself enjoy now. So letting go of the blame, letting go of the need to be right, and making a conscious decision to give a gift to yourself. But we can't go back and erase that, but giving yourself the permission, the gift to move forward and enjoy your life, make your life. That's because we're talking about designing your relationship, and it starts with you. You get to make the decision of how you want to continue to enjoy or show up with your life. Another important reason for forgiving someone, and we'll talk more about forgiving, is that pent up anger and bitterness, it makes us sick, physically sick. Okay. We get headaches and stress and neck and stomach, high blood pressure. anxiety. So do your body a favor and make a decision to let go by forgiving. What also, maybe there's a chance to restore what was lost. Maybe when you can let go of this riff and stop carrying it forward and hanging on it and dwelling on it and taking something that maybe was a year ago or longer or last month, and you're able to live now with letting go of it. You're not rehearsing it. So when you're doing that, you're not reinforcing the pain, you're not reinforcing resentment, and you're not continuing to feed that fight now. Letting go, stepping forward, and then having good constructive talks now eliminates the power. It doesn't let that fight continue to grow in your relationship, or the bitterness or the hatred and hurt in your heart, right? So there's benefits, both emotional, physical, and just the practical day to day. Walking around the house on eggshells or bristling all the time doesn't create a good space for you. And I hear of some of you folks that say, um, I don't, I get it. Yeah, I don't want to have an ulcer. Yeah, I get that. But is it really possible? And the answer is yeah. With time, patience, grace, with repeated practice and exposure to having nice interactions, to having um, good thoughts, to interrupting those things. Yes, you can. All right. But I'll tell you why we still hang on to them. If you're still wondering, why do we still hang on to that hurt? Because it still feels unfair. This is an emotional thing. It feels unfair to forgive someone who seems to just, they get away with it, or they didn't seem really genuinely apologetic. It doesn't feel like, oh, it's okay, or just it's justified to not hold them accountable. They haven't apologized. They haven't righted the wrong. They haven't fixed things. And I don't even know what they can fix, but it doesn't feel it. So it feels like our pain isn't valid. It feels like our pain isn't important enough. And we don't want to let go, or we don't want to let that person who did you know, the betrayal, the broken trust, we don't want to let them go off scot free. Other times we hold on to a grudge or a negative feeling is that it sometimes feels good. It feels good at some level to know that that person have done us wrong, and they need to feel the consequences. They need to experience the consequences of us not talking to them, or us chewing them out, or giving the cold shoulder. Sometimes it feels good to be um, sort of like the center of attention, but in a different way, like getting other people's sympathies, getting other people's caring. And when maybe there's been a broken trust, there's been a betrayal, an affair, something like that. Um, Sometimes our family, our friends that we didn't get as much attention, they circle the wagons around us, and it's, oh, you poor thing, and how did he, go through this, and you should never have been treated that way. This is just awful, terrible, shame on them. And at some point, it's kind of nice to sort of be the victim, but sort of be in that caring, receiving, caring, being taken care of, feeling special, right? So if you're in the spot of the place where there is things that would be really good for you to forgive and move on, and forgetting is really one of those terms that people get hung up on. Maybe you won't ever forget, like it's not going to be completely erased, but forgiving, letting go of the hurt, the anger, the hatred, that negative energy, and moving forward will completely free you up and allow you to really step into some of those things that you've been telling me that you want to add into your life, into your the way you show up. You want to start looking at yourself in the mirror and feeling good. You want to be able to accept compliments. You want to do something nice for yourself or show up in your relationship or your marriage and say, this is what I want. This is what I need, what I expect. In order to do that, we've got to get rid of some of this garbage, guys. All right. So it is possible to forgive and move on when you can step out of that role that we just talked about, kind of the focus on the hurt, the anger, that I've been done wrong. Um, and you can see more than one angle to the situation. Maybe you can look at that terrible fight and you can see that there was probably a few things I could have done differently, or it doesn't forgive it, but it does sort of explain how we escalated so fast and it got to the point where these awful, terrible things were said to me. Or if we're talking about an affair, being able to step back and say, although what they did was really wrong and they stepped out and cheated on me and cheated on our relationship or our marriage, I can see at some level how this might have happened. Here's where we were growing apart. Here's where we weren't hanging out together. Here's where we weren't having sex. There was nothing going on in our marriage or in our relationship in the bed. It was crickets. Or we were two ships passing. We had no time, connection time. So when we can see more than one angle, more than one explanation to the situation, that helps us move from forgiveness and moving on. If you can see the bigger picture, the big picture, and say, what, by me hanging on to this, how is it impacting me now? How is it impacting our relationship, our children, our extended family, our financial future? All those things are legitimate. So when you step back and say, if I give up this cluster of hurt, anger, betrayal, whatever, if I let go of that and don't focus on it and move to something else, how is that improving the bigger picture? It's a long term. Okay. So what I'm asking you, or I'm suggesting or proposing, is that if you're finding yourself in a situation where there is something to let go, something that is still showing up in your day to day thoughts, your actions, your interactions, whether it's from your spouse, your partner, from something else in your past, we want to have you step in with your wisdom, your logic. Let's get you back in control of your emotions, right? When you can click that brain in, get different perspectives, sort it out, do the things that you need to do, forgiveness and moving forward will happen. Because wisdom overrides, it nudges, it says, yeah, you were hurt, but we need to do something now. We need to get up and get going, kind of thing. Right? So, just a little bit of thoughts, just a little bit of what is helpful and why it might be good and might be important to consider moving from dwelling to gaining perspective, gaining wisdom, understanding what you get by hanging on to that, and also what you lose by hanging on to that. So, hope you've enjoyed day 5 of designing your relationship, and we will continue to be talking about some other aspects, and I'll follow up with a little bit more things on how and what else that looks like with some of my real life clients. So take care. DM me. I am here and I'm so ready to help you reignite your relationship with yourself and your spouse or partner in my high ticket VIP one-on-one coaching. So DM me. I'll have lots to share. Bye.